Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a crucial legal topic, challenging extradition from Michigan to Louisiana, particularly in cases involving charges of resisting an officer. We'll dive into the laws of both states, highlight some key differences, and explore how these differences can be used to challenge extradition. Let's get into it. First, let's take a look at Michigan's law. In Michigan, the law on resisting an officer is found in MCL 750.81D. This statute makes it a crime to knowingly and willingly assault, batter, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger a police officer who is performing their duties. Importantly, obstruct in Michigan is broadly defined to include not just physical resistance, but also failing to comply with lawful commands. However, Michigan does not have a specific law that criminalizes the failure to identify oneself to a police officer as a separate offense. Penalties in Michigan are quite severe, with the basic offense being a felony punishable by up to 2 years in prison and fines. If the officer is injured, the penalties can escalate significantly, with the potential for up to 20 years in prison if the officer is killed. Now let's shift to Louisiana. In Louisiana, resisting an officer is covered under RS 14108. Louisiana defines resisting an officer broadly as well, including intentional interference with a lawful arrest, detention, or seizure of property by a police officer. But here's the key difference. Louisiana specifically includes the failure to identify oneself as part of resisting an officer. This means that simply refusing to provide your name or identification when asked by an officer is considered a criminal act in Louisiana, even if there's no physical resistance involved. In Louisiana, resisting an officer is generally a misdemeanor, with penalties of up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $500. Unless violence or injury escalates the situation. Now let's compare these laws more closely. Both states criminalize actions that interfere with a police officer's duties, but they do so in different ways. The most significant difference is Louisiana's inclusion of failure to identify oneself as a part of resisting an officer. Michigan, on the other hand, does not have a separate charge for failing to identify oneself to an officer. This difference in legal provisions can be a crucial point when considering extradition. The penalties also differ significantly, with Michigan imposing much harsher penalties overall, treating the offense as a felony in most cases, whereas Louisiana often considers it a misdemeanor. Now, let's discuss how this difference in the laws can be used to challenge extradition. Extradition involves transferring a person accused of a crime from one state to another, and it generally requires that the act in question be a crime in both states. This is known as the principle of dual criminality. In this case, because Michigan does not specifically criminalize the failure to identify oneself to a police officer, as Louisiana does, this can be a key argument against extradition. If you're facing charges in Louisiana that include failure to identify, your defense lawyer could argue that since Michigan doesn't recognize this as a crime, you should not be extradited based on that charge. This difference in legal definitions could be crucial, especially if the failure to identify is a significant part of the charges in Louisiana. It could potentially lead to a successful challenge against extradition on the grounds that Michigan law does not support the same charge. In summary, while both Michigan and Louisiana have laws against resisting an officer, the differences in their definitions, particularly regarding the failure to identify oneself, are significant. This difference can be a powerful argument when challenging extradition from Michigan to Louisiana. Understanding these nuances is essential, especially if you're facing extradition. A good defense attorney can use this difference to argue that you should not be extradited for a charge that isn't recognized in Michigan. Thank you for watching. I hope this information helps clarify how the differences between Michigan and Louisiana laws could impact an extradition case. If you have any questions or need more information, feel free to ask in the comments. Until next time.